Welcome to the Flat Track Factory. Today we'll look at some protective gear for flat track racing. The kit I use, how I came to use it, and how it works. Stick around. First, I'd like to say this is not a recommendation or endorsement. My opinion is based solely on my education, my experience, and my discussions with other racers and engineers. It has evolved and continues to evolve. I know this is a deeply personal decision and elicits about as much pushback as any of the racing-related topics that I like to speak about. This is only intended to get us thinking about our gear and maybe if it's time for a fresh look. I've laid out my full short track kit here. Of course, leathers are another option, but probably that would be a separate discussion. Start head to toe with a list of what I use, and then we'll take a closer look at each item. Starting at the top, a top quality helmet, some really good earplugs, and sometimes a mouth guard if I can remember to wear it. I need to get better at that. Then working down, I wear a full protective jacket with integral back protector. Then under that, I wear, I don't know how to say it without calling it the brand, but tight-fitting, stretchy shirt, and we'll talk about why. And then I wear armored gloves, and then just whatever jersey you might like. Then moving down, I have articulated armored knee guards, a protective short for thighs, hips, and tailbone, and then just some pants that are really just a cover. And then I wear specific oval dirt track boots and a professionally made steel shoe. I believe each and every one of these is a safety item. Let's take a look at each one individually. I'm not the biggest fan of discussing politics, religion, or helmets. Those three topics seem to get people worked up. So I'll tell you what I've found best for me, and what works for you, of course, may be different. All of this gear I pay for. I will admit to you that Van Leeuwen Enterprises out in California does give me a small support deal, but I decided what helmet I wanted, and then in talking to them, they helped me out a little bit. So I'm not really paid. I do pay for these helmets. I wear a day helmet and a night helmet. I keep one with a race shield, dark smoke, and then I have a clear shield for night that kind of keeps my helmets a little fresher, and I don't have to fiddle with swapping shields back and forth at just the right moment. I wear a full coverage road race style or dirt track style, however you want to call it. I don't wear dirt bike helmets. I don't think that their coverage makes me comfortable. I don't like goggles. This just works better for me. Modern helmets have been tested in a wind tunnel and have various aerodynamic features which help keep noise down, airflow up, buffeting down. So there is a big difference from what helmets used to be. A modern helmet is definitely required. Also, they have manufacturing dates in here. Helmets do time out. You can, it's either on the liner or you can pull it back and look on the polystyrene to see when it's manufactured. Typically, a racing organization will give you 4, maybe 5 years, and the helmet's considered timed out. Helmets just wear out, and you should keep up on that. Check with your manufacturer or distributor because the lining does break down, and it may look fine on the outside, but it's not. Also, they'll tell you right there in the helmet that if the helmet ever suffers an impact, it should be considered trash unless it's sent back to the manufacturer to be checked. Different helmets have different testing certifications. This particular one has the DOT and European standard. There's another one in America that is fairly common. They're typically on the back of the helmet there. If you really wanted to nerd out, you can get into the different standards. The European standard and the more common American one are different. and they have different philosophies, and the same impact force will deliver different forces to the user because of the philosophy of the tests. And I have read all of this, but I'm really not qualified to make a recommendation on that, although I have my opinion, and this is what makes me comfortable. Next up is earplugs. I really like this brand. They're just comfortable and have a very high noise reduction rating. I always wear them. In fact, some of you know that when I come off the bike, I can't hear you till I get these out. And mouth guard, this came from the MMA training I did for a bit. I noticed that seem to make quite a big difference when you're sparring and you get hit without one of these. So I try to wear one. I try to use it. It's tough to get used to, but I'm getting back into it. Here's the style of protection I use for the upper body. This is an integral jacket. It has some side rib protection here, a front chest guard, then it has integral elbows and forearms, shoulders, and then this wraps up here. And on the back, you have a pretty heavy duty back protector. I think this is key. I notice that a lot of guys don't wear anything on the top, and I think they better enjoy their flat track while they can, because, well, the ground's not getting any softer. The next piece of gear is this undershirt, tight fitting, flexible. The reason I consider this safety equipment is oftentimes when I've hit the ground, that jacket stops and I keep moving, and I get like a cheese grater effect from the inside of the protective jacket, and this acts like a little bit of protection and gives it some slip and reduces abrasion. The jersey, as far as I'm concerned, is just a cover to keep the dust off of your armored jacket. And of course, factory tip for this video, put your number on the back, and makes you look fancy. Gloves are also surprisingly controversial to me. I wear these armored gloves, it's like a short gauntlet style. Some people call them like a supermoto style. They're constantly changing the name of what they market them under and changing the features a little bit. But what I think is key to me is pinky and next finger in protection, because that is most often what hits the ground first if you low side, and you often get it pinched between the bar and the ground. Many motorcycle racers are missing one or both of these fingers for that very reason. Plus there's some carbon insert armor there for abrasion resistance, also on the knuckles. That's key. Here's a glove that I had a little tip over at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the National, and you can see those knuckles are ground down, and these two fingers kind of rolled over in that incident, although this is the right side glove. Next, what I really like about these style gloves is the reinforced leather palm. It's actually required now to have leather gloves in the National Series, and I think that's a great idea. There's armor here. It's quite stiff, and then has this short gauntlet which is padded to protect this portion of your wrist, 'cause that's often what hits the ground. The longer road race style glove has even a bit bigger. Some guys that I've spoken to don't like the fact that this glove is stiff in the palm in particular, but you know, you really only need a couple fingers to ride, or at least I do. And I find the road racing stint I did like several years ago, I adapted to this glove in no time, and it's just, I feel naked without it. I'm really glad that I updated from the old school style of gloves. You know, when I'm in first gear and single track, you know, I still wear these. Those thin lingerie style motocross gloves to me are just not acceptable. Next on the bottom layer is this three-piece articulated knee guard. Three-piece in that the knee cup has a double hinge system here, so it kind of stays static on your knee, and the upper piece and lower piece move somewhat independently, and that keeps it from sliding up and down like a cheaper one piece. Knee guard will do, I've noticed. There's also a difference between a knee guard and a knee brace. Price point is substantially different, and I'm not personally convinced that it's worth the difference in price. I don't have any data on that, other than that's just purely an opinion based on some of the discussions I've had with my orthopedic surgeon friends. But again, that's just still an opinion. Here's the cover for the bottom, just your pants. I think these are really just dust covers as far as I'm concerned. And get your style points, of course. I kind of prefer this legging style here is not really my deal, but it's hard to get the over the boot pants that I like so much. These do have a little bit of faux leather, I guess, on the knees for a little grippage, so I think that's nice. All right, fair warning, I am a fanboy of this style of boot. The TCX Speedway boot, again, I pay for this, so it's not biased in that way. I also have the Daytona boot, which has a similar style. This boot, I believe, is the way to go, and let me tell you a couple of reasons why. If we take a look at the left boot here, pull the steel shoe off. This boot, left boot, has really no sole on it. That makes it lighter, that makes it smaller, it makes it lower, makes the whole package is there's just less. So that means your steel shoe can be less. And to me, that makes a big difference. It fits in a tighter space, there's less of it to run over, there's less of it to catch in a hole, there's less steel to carry around. So to me, this is just an absolute no-brainer. I had Ken Maley had me cut the heel of my dirt bike boots off when I was a kid, and I have just stuck with this forever. Then when I found this boot, I just fell in love because it has modern inner booty and then has articulated armor pieces, so you get flexibility and protection all in one. I just think it's unparalleled in design. So that's what I think on that. Now, the steel shoe. Steel shoe is a safety device. I have some incredibly talented and experienced engineers and fabricators as friends, and they looked at my shoe when they got into this and decided that they could make one. And while I'm sure that is true, the learning curve for making a steel shoe is so long that you could just go to one of the professional guys that does this for a living and get one made properly right now for you. So I just don't think that it's a safe thing to do, because the angle of this shoe, the roundness of the shoe, the slimness of this shoe, the efficiency of its design and manufacture is important. Every gram that you're dragging around on that big old lever of a leg, and when it gets stuck in a hole and gets flung out behind you, you've got to stop all that energy. So you want this as light as possible and yet still durable. Incidentally, for that reason, I wear a size boot that's actually about 2 sizes too small for me, because I think that this is that important to have a minimal size shoe. The roundness of this shoe, the way this is built and the way it presents to the ground, is very important. I see amateur made shoes where the shoe has sharp edges on it and actually gets very easily caught if the shoe is presented in this angle. With this nice angle, the way this is professionally built, you actually kind of present the shoe to the ground in this angle, and this edge is nowhere near a hole or a rut, where if you have a completely flat piece of steel, it's just like it's like a blade, and I just think that you're asking for trouble in that way, trying to save money on a shoe. So to me, not only is it just beautiful to see these guys what they can do to make a steel shoe, it's a safety device to me, and it's also an extremely important tool for going fast. So there's my short track kit. If you haven't already, do me a favor and smash that like button and make a YouTube account for me and subscribe to the channel. The intricacies on the back end of making these videos, for it to be seen and visible to more people, the video needs to be liked, and I need to have subscribers. So if you could help me out with that, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate it. Let me know what you think that I've missed. Tell me what kit that you use that's different, and tell me why. I really like to know the why of why people wear different equipment. Thanks for watching.